Welcome into another edition of the James Boyd Podcast. I'm James Boyd, joined by my editor, Jim Ayello, after a Colts win in historic fashion. But before we get into all of the craziness from Jonathan Taylor's breakout game against the Titans, I'll first say that I am a Grinch around the holidays a little bit. Uh,
You just leading with this. I didn't know you were going to start there. Okay,
yes,
all right.
yes, yes. Let's get this out of the way. I want to wish everyone, obviously, a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all of the above. But I think I'm a Grinch mainly because I don't have children. And
Okay.
so the holidays just kind of sneak up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that is like Christmas. Oh, yeah, that is Thanksgiving and things like that. Because when it comes to conversations about what I got my kid for Christmas, they don't happen because I don't have a kid. So I'm hoping that you had got all your Christmas shopping done and
Yeah.
you got, a festive day to watch JT yesterday go off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely wearing a little bit of a Grinch hat today because I don't feel festive. Those
Yeah.
days are over. People know in the Colts media room that actually I never believed in Santa growing up because my parents were like, we worked too hard to let somebody else take the credit. So they just told us from the beginning, here's what mom and dad got for you. And then I had a great childhood because of it. So so
Well,
Elf
I
on the
now hope
Shelf.
kids are not listening here. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you got any kids in the back, man, cut this off. Cut this off. I was always the kid in school that ruined everything for my
Oh, you were
peers.
that kid. Oh, see, you are a Grinch.
I was
God,
that
I
kid,
didn't even.
man. Blame my parents for never telling me that, hey, I should probably believe in something, a little make believe action. Didn't happen. But what we saw yesterday, Jim, was real. And it was 218
Yeah.
yards on the ground. It was 335 yards, a team record actually on the ground for the Colts. And it was a win to keep their faint playoff hopes alive. So I'll let you weigh in, obviously, on my Grinch behavior, anything you did for your kids, but also, I guess, a little festive holiday spirit after that win for the Colts.
I'll give you some grace because I used to say similar things on my previous podcast at the Indy Star with Joel Erickson. He used to talk about Christmas. I used to get very upset when people started playing Christmas music like around or after Thanksgiving. I don't like that. I think it's too early. He told me I was being a Grinch because when you have kids, they start getting into the Christmas season right away. I now have kids. I get it to a degree. I still don't want to hear Christmas music up until like a couple of weeks before Christmas, but I guess December 1st. I'm trying to be more open-minded about this.
Yeah,
I'm
see, I'm not trying to hear Christmas music like ever. That's the problem. And so I think that's
yeah,
why I'm a Grinch. It's tough, man. Mariah Carey, all I want for Christmas is you.
yeah.
Not trying to hear it. Not trying to hear it, to be honest with you. It's a fantastic song. It's a hit, but yeah, man. One day I will get there. One day I will get there. And Joel keeps telling me that they will come, and
Yeah,
others who have
okay.
children. I'm
He's
hoping it
spreading the
comes
the
one
good
day.
cheer around. Yeah, he did it to me. If to do it to you, that's good to hear. No, I mean, like, I get it, man. I get it. It definitely helps to have kids around because you are talking about it more often. You're surrounded by more. Like we went to a Christmas lights show this weekend, so they could see that kind of thing. So it definitely helps to have kids to get into the Christmas spirit. But until then, I'm not going to begrudge you being a Grinch. I was once a Grinch as well, so I will.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
again, I can't. I think I have earned a reputation, at least at the Indy Star, of being a total holiday Grinch for the most part, a real curmudgeon. I will say, in terms of make believe, it did feel like make believe yesterday watching Jonathan Taylor run all over, especially if you had him
Oh,
on your
man.
fantasy teams. Um, yeah, man, I will say, I think part of me went into the week. I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast or not. I'm sure I mentioned it to like a friend of mine, but I kind of had a feeling Jonathan Taylor was going to have a big game just because of like the redemption narrative. I thought the Colts were going to try to work it to him a little bit more and let him score and do all that stuff. I did not see that performance coming.
Ooh.
I mean, the Colts as a team, 335 rushing yards. You wrote yesterday a franchise record, not just like a Colts franchise record, but like a Baltimore, all of the entirety of this franchise's history record. They've
Yeah.
only gone over 300 yards, what, four times? I think this was the
Four
fourth time. I mean,
times. Yeah, and
it's
like the
insane.
last time was in 1958, which was before
It,
Jim Irsay, the owner of the team, was even born.
yeah, that was a great stat. I love that from your story. That did put things in perspective. I think in a really great way. I really think, and I know we were going to get into this maybe a little bit later, but I kind of want to bring it in as part of the conversation, which is I couldn't help the entire game going, this is what the Colts wanted. This is like you and I've gone on this on the podcast a few times. Like when they signed Jonathan Taylor to the extension mid-season or like early last season,
Yeah.
it was because of this. They saw what Anthony Richardson was, and then they knew what Jonathan Taylor was because he wasn't playing yet, and said, "Oh my God! Like, what if we pair these two guys together? This would be devastating rushing attack." And obviously, Richardson got hurt before they really even got to play together. And then this year didn't happen. It didn't happen the way they had hoped or envisioned. So they've been a good rushing team. I have to say, like they're number 7 in the league in rushing right now, and obviously rushing for 335 yards helps that. But they were okay. They were a good rushing team, not a great one going into the game. Now they're one of the top 7 teams. But I just thought this was the first time. This is probably the first time we really, really saw it, where we were like, oh, this is what they were hoping for the whole time. And again, 11 passes from Anthony Richardson is probably like that's kind of like a pipe dream. You know, I think to be honest with you, every NFL coach would be like, if I can run for 335 yards, why would I ever throw it? Like, there's not this is not. I don't think this is like a referendum on Richardson. I think it was like we're running the ball down their throats. Why would we stop? So I don't think it's that, but it did alleviate a lot of the pressure on Richardson in this game, and I thought that was huge for him, huge for the Colts. But man, it was fun to watch. It really was. It was fun to watch in terms of just like a team that could do anything they wanted on the ground for the entire game.
Yeah, they did. And I think this sentiment was captured best by Mo Ali Cox after the game. I'm sure you saw the quote on Twitter. It was pretty funny. And here's what he said about running all over the Titans, because at one point, he talked about how they helped out Anthony Richardson by running Jonathan Taylor. It started off rocky. They fell behind 7-0.
Yeah.
Anthony throws the interception near the goal line. He was trying to force one into Drew Ogletree, but he was late off his back foot. Bad throw. And honestly, I was like, wow, like this is becoming a problem. And it is a problem. That was Anthony's 12th interception this season. He's played 11 games. He's had an interception in 7 of his 11 starts this year. Not good. And then it was funny because after that, it's like Shane Steichen was like, enough of this. We're running the ball. And they ran it 12 straight times.
Yeah.
And on the first 10 of those, they ended in touchdown drives. You know, you had Anthony getting in on a 5-yard score, and obviously you had JT breaking one for 65 yards and going to the house and doing his whole thing and holding on to the ball, you know, as all Colts fans wanted him to do last week. He did it this week. But all that to say, Mo Cox hit it on the head when he said after the game, it's hilarious because we went out there and they were like, oh, it's a screen. And then one of the defensive ends was like, man, they're about to give it to Jonathan Taylor. He about to run for 300 on us. Once he said that, I was like, yeah, we got him. They don't want to be out here no more. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
And so he went on to say a bunch of wild, crazy stuff in true Mo Cox fashion. He's one of the best quotes on the team, whether they're playing good or bad. He keeps it real. He also said, man, it's like we ran out of run plays because he was like, we were running the ball at such a volume.
I bet they did. Yeah.
We didn't have as many. We didn't have just enough run plays. So he said they were calling out our plays, and we were still doing what we wanted to do. And I was like, wow. So outside of that little lull there where they kind of played with some fire, took JT out, which I don't know if I would have agreed with that in the third quarter. I get it. Keeping them fresh. They were ahead by a ton. I understand it, but I'm like, man, I don't know. You know your team, and you know how ridiculous your team can be. Keep him in there. And also, I'm selfish. I want to see history. So if he's going to go for, 250 plus, he was on pace to go for, 300 plus, honestly. I want to see it. Go out there, run, do your thing. You paid the guy. Let's see it. But
yeah,
it was funny to hear Mo Cox break it down like that. And it went over well, great with the Titans fan base once they got their hands on it because
I'm sure they love that.
Yeah, there was a lot of, you're a liar, you're this. And I mean, we repeated the question a few times and he doubled down on it, tripled down on it. He's like, no, they said this in the game. And so obviously if that was said, that's an indictment on the Titans not being able to stop the run after they had done it, Jim, pretty much all year. I mean,
they're pretty good run
like a top 5 like run defense in the league.
Yeah.
So to, have that happen was, I mean, just a kick in the teeth for the Titans. And obviously a really big performance, bounce back game for Jonathan Taylor, who I use the word redeemed. I've had a lot of people, come at me and say, hey, it's not redemption because you can't make up for what he did last week. But I mean, my goodness, if he's going to bounce back like that,
yeah,
if that's not redemption, I don't know what is. I get it. Their playoffs odds are still very slim because of that blunder in Denver. But
for sure.
I don't think you can just like sneeze at, 29 carries, 218 and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that doesn't happen every day. I believe it was like the third highest rushing total in franchise history behind JT, ding, 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 as a rookie, and then Edgerrin James. So when you're in that rare air, you kind of have to tip your cap to a guy who performed like he did.
I was going to say, I mean, just to see what they did, the Colts, their matchup was in week 6 this year. against the Titans, the previous one, I should say, and the Colts averaged 2.9 yards per carry in that game. They averaged 6.7 yesterday. Just to tell you the difference. I mean, some of the numbers are just comical, man. I'm looking at these like percentage of runs that went for at least 5 yards is 44%. So almost half their runs were going for 5 yards. They were just getting anything they wanted, anytime they wanted. Here's another fun one. The yards before contact for the Colts running backs, or for all Colts rushers, was 173 yards. That's more rushing yards they had in any other game. So the yards before contact yesterday were more yards than they had in any other game this season. Then you tack on an extra 162 for yards after contact, which is almost more than they've had in any other game. So, I mean, it's just insane. We should probably specifically say that Jonathan Taylor was outstanding, kind of like peak Jonathan Taylor form. I mean, you kind of forget how fast he is in the open field too. Sometimes,
yes, that's the part that blows my mind, because I didn't really see, and I still haven't seen, obviously, rushing champ JT and how just crazy he was during that 2021 season, and even as a rookie, because as a rookie he ran for 253 in one of the final weeks of the season to help to get to the playoffs, and so I hadn't really seen him explode like this, and to see that, I mean, 265 plus yard touchdowns in the same game. It's like when he sees daylight and he gets a straight line, he's gone. He is gone. And it's unbelievable because the breakaway speed, it reminds me, honestly, of the top backs in the league. Like when Christian McCaffrey's healthy, when Saquon Barkley's going off, you're like, wait a second, don't forget about Jonathan Taylor, who I think needed that game to kind of get through some of the mental turmoil and angst of what happened last week. So that was big. I do want to mention, when you're talking about the previous Titans game, which they also won, keep in mind that they had Joe Flacco in there, so he's not going to be doing a lot of the zone reads and QB draws and things like that. And in all seriousness, we can talk about it here.
Yeah.
You talk about the vision of Anthony Richardson only throwing 11 passes, which is crazy. He had never done that before in a win that he started in. He had a career high in rushing as well. 9 carries, I believe, 70 yards. He had a 29-yard run. That was really sick. The play design was cool. The fake pitch.
Incredible. And then, I love when Stike can bust that stuff out, man.
It's and he got free. And I was even joking with him. I wanted to find a way to put it in the story, but it just didn't really fit. And I was like, I'll talk about it on the pod. But I asked Anthony at the end of his press conference, I said, hey, man, I know you wanted JT to bounce back, but when you got stopped at the half-yard line there in the third quarter, did you try to do that, or did you want JT to score? And he's like, yeah. I wasn't trying to do that, but we can go with that. So he was happy. Obviously, he wanted to get in for a second score, but he didn't mind, obviously, for JT to get the hat trick there and to go over, again, just over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, one of the best performances ever by any Colts running back. And there's been a lot of great ones with this franchise, as you all know. So that was a weirdly satisfying game. But the sentiment among a lot of Colts fans, and rightfully so, was like, but last week you hurt us, you cut us deep. And
too little, too late.
I kind of agree with that. And I get it, because even now I looked at our motto for The Athletic. I believe they have the Colts at like a 14% chance to make the playoffs. If you're looking for a little bit more hope, the New York Times, which is our parent company, have their own model. It's like 19%. So,
there you go.
Maybe you want to, get a second opinion, as they say, as athletes do with like different injuries, get a second opinion on the Colts' playoff hopes. But point being, it just feels like, wow, you really squandered last week, especially if you knew you had this game on a silver platter. But obviously you can't go back and change anything. And then, the reality is, if you don't win, you have no chance at all of advancing. You're not playing for anything. And so even having that little bit of hope felt good. And then talking to some of the guys in the locker room, Ryan Kelly in particular, he was just saying how grateful he was. He was back, obviously, for the first time in several weeks. He had been out with a knee injury. He had been on IR. He was saying he had been a little rusty getting out there. But he was also like, you knock the rust out pretty quick when you can run the ball every single time you want to and get what you want. And he also mentioned that one of the coolest parts about the way they performed was that it wasn't necessarily a lot of zone reads, at least their big, crazy runs. He was like, no, they were just regular running back runs, and all of us did our job to the nth degree to help ourselves stay alive in this thing, and obviously help JT have the day that he had. I mean, you look at the 65-yard run, I don't even think he was touched. You look at the 70-yard run, I think one guy might have got an arm on him, but after that, I mean, once you lose the angle on him, he's gone again. So
Yeah.
he enjoyed it. I even enjoyed it. I'll get your thoughts on this. What'd you think about him running into the tunnel and then Tyler Goodson yanking at the ball when he got back to the sideline?
Yeah, it's funny. It's good. I mean, you got to be able to laugh at yourself. Again, there's no going back in time and fixing the mistake. So the best you could do is probably try to laugh it off and make sure it never happens again, like is what he said over and over again last week. So, yeah, man, like I said, you kind of have to make a joke of it because there's no other way to really handle it a week later. You could still be miserable, I guess, but I don't know what the point in that would be. So you got to just move on. And again, I understand what fans are saying with the no redemption thing, and it makes sense. But like, he's got to do something, right? Like he's got games to play, and if he's going to do this as his way of responding to what he did, no, it doesn't totally make up for what he did last week, but it's it's about the best he could do, right? Like in terms of trying to make up for what you did, that's about the best you could probably hope for. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I get where fans are coming from. They have every right to be upset because that was one of the dumbest plays that you can. It's just stupid. I mean, it's mindless.
Yeah.
It's careless. It's boneheaded. Whatever you want to say. It's all of those things. He would admit all of those things, and it might have ruined the Colts season. There's again, there's no sugarcoating it, but. I don't. He's not supposed to go into a cave somewhere and just hole up for the rest of the year. He's got to come back and play. And so the fact that he came back and played his best game of the year, it's a testament to him for sure. It's a testament to his character and to the Colts. I guess I think they were motivated to get him going. And again, Tyler Goodson was trying to make fun of it. Have fun with it, I should say, and make it a good time as opposed to just wallowing in pity. So and in sadness. So yeah, I don't know. I was fine with it. I thought it was funny. And it's kind of what you have to do. I do say because I'm afraid we're going to get away from the running stuff before we mention the offensive line. I just wanted to mention the offensive line, which is, again, you don't run for 335 yards without a dominating performance by your offensive line. And again, we talked about Titans defense was really, really good coming in. They held the Colts to less than 3 yards per carry in their first game. They have some really solid players. Jeffrey Simmons is excellent player. And the Colts offensive line opened up 3.5 yards per carry or before contact. Jonathan Taylor was essentially gaining 3.5 yards before he even really had to make a cut or do anything so I kind of, again, big hat tip to them. Quentin Nelson, I thought, played out of his mind yesterday. He opened up a couple of those huge runs, opened up a couple of the touchdown runs. I think Anthony Richardson's touchdown run particularly was right behind him. Quentin Nelson was outstanding, and I think came back from an injury that's, I don't know if you guys, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if you guys heard it on TV, but like I was watching on TV, I could hear screaming on TV, and I'm pretty sure it was Quentin Nelson. So I thought it was worse than it was. I think he was just frustrated, though, as it turned out.
Yeah, so I usually have the YouTube TV broadcast up on my laptop because then I can rewind on my own. We have the in press box TV, but obviously they don't show everything, and it's a little bit different than watching it on an actual TV broadcast because they have commentary and little stats that they put up. So I went back on my laptop and watched it, and yeah, he got rolled up on. It looks like a Trey Sermon run.
Yeah.
And he immediately went to the sideline and took his helmet off and just threw it down in frustration and threw it so hard it bounced back up and nearly hit him in the face. He had to kind of stiff arm his own helmet to, not cause another injury like a chipped tooth with his frustration. But he went back in there. I did see him briefly in the locker room after the game. Didn't talk to him because I figured he would, try to go get some rehab or whatever. And I know knowing Quentin, he's gonna take that time to make sure that he's right. But he was very frustrated. And I thought it was interesting. So after the game, Shane will announce the injuries. And so he announced that Trey Flowers, who was a backup cornerback, he was actually just placed on the injured reserve list for practice squad players. He's going to be out for the remainder of the regular season. And then you also had Jalen Jones, who left the game with a third injury. He announced those injuries during the game. I think it was Trey Flowers, it was a shoulder. But for Quentin, he didn't say anything. And so I'll definitely follow up later today when we talk to him and obviously update you all on social media. But that is something to keep in mind because he was a big part of what they did yesterday. And I think one of the coolest things in the world is seeing Quentin, who's so reserved, just turn into a kid whenever they score a rushing touchdown. Because if you look at the play where AR is following that convoy to the end zone, as soon as he breaks the line, it's like Quentin's got two hands in the air and he's going crazy and he's enjoying himself. So that was really awesome. To pivot a bit, I want to get your thoughts on the swings in this game. 7-0, by the Titans, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Mason Rudolph, career day incoming. What are you
Yeah.
guys doing? I mean, because he looked great in that first quarter. And then it flips to the Colts scoring 38 unanswered points and going up 38-7, with about 6:50, I think, left in the third quarter. And then the Titans storm all the way back with not one, not two, but three touchdown drives and two 2-point conversions to make it an 8-point game with, 2:53, I think, left in the game. And so, all that to say, it came down to still your quarterback needing to make a throw for you to win the game. And
Yeah.
so, what do you think about just how, one, the Colts kind of faltering a little bit, playing with some fire, and then Anthony delivering when you needed him to keep that drive alive and to bleed the clock out and obviously get a win.
I think human nature set in a little bit, and this happens. And again,
That's
we don't
fair.
see it.
That's fair.
The Colts haven't been in position like this much this season. They haven't been up 38-7 on anybody really. They haven't dominated games very often. So there's definitely some like learn how to win mode here. I
They
also
don't
think
care
Gus,
about my quick game stories or my takeaways because
no, they
I'm
clearly
trying to get
don't.
them done, Jim. And I'm like, wait a second, you guys gonna have me write two versions again. And I got shades of Minnesota. I'll let you continue, but
Ooh.
oh Lord, I was sitting there, I was talking to Bob Kravitz and Stephen Holder, and I was like, look, man, y'all know what happened in Minnesota. And everyone was telling me like, James, shut the F up. So
You gotta if you guys are reading at home, you gotta know like when you're writing, those are the ones where you see like the first three graphs you can tell were written ahead of or three or
yes,
four sentences you can tell were ahead, and
yes.
then at the end, a writer will go, but the Colts almost gave it away at the thing because they have to like type that in real quick at the end
Yeah.
because all of a sudden it's happening. You'll know again if you're a keen reader, a keen-eyed reader, I should say. Yeah, you'll pick up on when the writers are like, crap, I got to go back and
Oh,
add this little thing because before like 38-15, you can kind of ignore it. 38-22, you can kind of ignore it. 38-30, crap. I gotta go back.
yeah,
Like you're
yeah.
so ignoring that now.
Oh, I was ready
Yeah.
to praise the defense and it's the Colts' most dominant win and blah blah. And I'm like, you jokers can never just make it easy. So I
It's
digress.
yeah,
I'll
it's
let you
it's
do it.
not a fun part of the job. No, I would say I think human nature set in a little bit. It's hard. I think especially for teams that aren't practiced at it, well versed in it. You're up 38-7, and you probably just take it easy a bit. And I think Gus Bradley's probably again, not just the players, but the defense too, where he's probably calling a little more vanilla defenses. Don't want to get beat over the top type of thing. There's a combination of those things, but I do think that the defense probably took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. You can criticize them for that. I think it's fair, but again, you understand that there's some human nature element to it, and it didn't. They didn't lose, so I guess I'm trying. They didn't give it away. They tried to give it away, but they didn't give it away. So I'm trying to give them some grace here. Like there haven't been that many Colts wins this year, so I'm trying to give them some grace. They only have 7 of these things. So yeah, the big throw I thought was important. They didn't really need Anthony Richardson. Like even his touchdown, his numbers were a little bit inflated just because even like the screen to Josh Downs or the quick throw. Yeah, the screen to Josh Downs was like that went for probably like 40 yards more than expected because he slipped the tackle and ran up the sidelines, and the Titans seemed to have kind of quit on that play in a weird way. So he got that touchdown. That was kind of a freebie. So yeah, I kind of thought that was the best throw of the game for him. Was that hey, when they need to extend some clock and keep this thing going for a little while, he hit Pittman for 10 yards on 3rd and 8 from their own 34. They were able to drain. I'm looking now. Another what minute and almost another pretty much the rest 2 minutes off the clock
Yeah.
before the Titans got the ball back and threw that last pick. But yeah, it's a huge throw. It's not one of those deep bombs, which he did. He connected with AD Mitchell. I'll give him credit for that one. That was a beautiful throw.
Ooh,
A nice catch by AD Mitchell.
80.
I think
Yeah. I mean, that was big. That was big.
we've seen AD. Well, here's what we've seen. We've seen AD either not catch it a bunch of times this year, or we've seen Richardson overthrow it a bunch of times. Those two, for some reason, have not been on the same page much this year. I think that in this particular scenario, I think that leans toward AD Mitchell not being in as places he should be typically. But this time they connected, and it was a beautiful throw. But yeah, to get back to your point, that last throw by Richardson was one they needed. He's so frustrating to try to figure out because that wasn't a deep bomb throw, which is typically where he's best. It wasn't really a short throw where he's not so great. It was that intermediate throw, which I guess is where he's better. But he just, man, in the clutch, he just seems to have it. Like it's like when he needs to lock in, he locks in. But like in other parts of the game, it's so weird sometimes. I mean, we don't have to look back too far. Look back at last week when the game's slipping out of control. He can't really reverse course, but when they're winning and they need to, or they're only down by one score and there's good positive momentum, that's when Richardson's at his best. He's got to figure out a way to harness whatever that is in the fourth quarter when they're like, they're trying to rally back from in a close deficit, or when they're trying to put a game away, because that's when
Or
he's at his
when it's
best.
the first quarter and Drew
Or
Ogletree's
that.
open and you got to just put the ball on him. I mean, those
Yeah,
are
go
the
quick.
throws
Yeah,
where you scratch your head a bit.
that throw was like both too late and not put, which is, I can't believe I'm about to say this. He put too much touch on it, like, which is not an Anthony Richardson habit.
Yeah.
Usually he tries to like fire at 120 miles an hour. That throw needed to be fired 120 miles an hour, especially if you're going to be that late to it. So not his best game, but not a bad game. I was joking with you on a call earlier today, like, hey, he's like 65% completion percentage. So what do we all complaining? 7-11. He's feeling, it's great. What's everybody mad about?
And
So,
then I
yeah,
said he threw it to the other team as well. So
well, there's some
something
of
to
that
keep
too.
in mind. But in all seriousness, he still had over 200 yards of offense. So we can't
Yeah,
like
he had a decent game.
discredit
Yeah.
what he did and how it kind of helped the team, again, get rolling. And I do think that a lot of their run success is factoring in the JT and AR duo, the factor, just knowing that, okay, if we guess wrong here,
Definitely.
it could cost us a lot. And like I said, seeing some of the funky plays that Shane's able to draw up, you like to see a little bit more of that. And so, in an ideal world, you run it, a bunch of times and everyone gets a share of the load and you don't have to rely on him as a passer as much. But I do think that's something that has to weigh on them. And AR mentioned it. He's like, hey, obviously today was really, really great, but there's got to be a little bit more complimentary football, because it did get stagnant there a little bit and nearly, cost the team the game. And I don't want to harp on it too much, but I will say this defense and DeForest Buckner actually said it for me. He was like, it's like this bittersweet feeling, because like, you won, you're alive, you still got the slim chance to make the playoffs, but you let the team back in the game. You let your own team down because you didn't finish the job. You didn't close the door. A lot of missed tackles. I asked Shane about it after the game. He said he has to watch the tape and figure out what's going on. But I don't know if that's like, an effort thing, if it's a skill thing, if it's a focus thing, if it's just like guys not being talented enough to make these plays. But the amount of mixed tackles in the second half was egregious. And it was honestly a terrible look. I mean, you look at some of these guys, Zaire Franklin, coming off a really great game in Denver. I thought one of his best games of the season. He came back in this game and did not look good. Missed a number of tackles. Jalen Carlisle actually came back from IR, the rookie, and had the most tackles on the team yesterday. And so I will say the way you kind of counter that is to get turnovers, which they did. Sam Womack got an interception. He walked out of the locker room with the game ball.
Two.
No, he had one. Kenny had two.
I know, I'm kidding. He had the one, and then they canceled it, and then he got the other one.
Yeah.
It was like back-to-back plays.
Good point. Yeah, it's like you got a little greedy, and also I was like, dang, Mason Rudolph, like that's always a bad look for the quarterback to like get picked off, and like it doesn't really count because it's out of bounds or the guy dropped it, and then you go right back to that same spot, and it's like, oh, you going to try me again?
Yeah.
And so he got an
you this time.
interception.
Yeah.
And then obviously Kenny got the huge one right before the half, which led to the Josh Downs score to give him a 24-7 lead, I believe.
Yep.
And then he ended the game too. So I did tell Kenny, as I tweeted, that he lost his freaking mind when he tried to hurdle that guy on his interception.
He's trying to be Saquon Barkley. He's got to turn the other way and try to jump over him. Yeah.
He was like, yeah, man, I was just trying to score. And he said, when I jumped, I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to come down. And I'm like, man, don't do that. Don't scare us like that. But obviously he was happy. But even he was saying that the defense just wasn't good enough, beyond that, or a postseason berth beyond that. But they're not going to change at this point. But I do think that it kind of speaks to this team. They're not able to play a complete game, which has plagued them all year. But again, as I tweeted to some, angry Titans fan who was, yelling at Molly Cox, hey, man, nobody is going to apologize for almost losing. I wish that I almost lost a ton in my life, because that means I still would win. I wish I almost lost the lottery, because then I would win. So I don't understand that. I think it's funny when it could be Colts fans, opposing fans, whoever. Sure. The whole why is he talking stuff because they almost lost? Nobody cares. When you say that, you sound like a loser, and that's what losers do. I'm like, you try to find excuses. A win is a win, and that's what they did. They found a way to win, and you can't apologize for that in this league, knowing that it's really hard to win. And I think one of the coolest things was seeing the joy on Ryan Kelly's face, because he had been out for a while. I think the writing's on the wall that this could be the last that he plays for the Colts and his
Sure.
last games, Lucas Oil Stadium. And he was just saying how much fun he had being back out there playing with the guys. And he did say it felt kind of like a throwback performance where they were able to just do whatever they wanted up front. JT's going off, and they're trying to make this thing work. And obviously, it would really be a throwback performance if they can get in the playoffs for the first time since 2020. And working through the playoff scenarios now.
Yeah.
Jim.
Gonna have to walk us through that here.
Whew.
I will say before you do that, I'm just gonna say, like, I know the defense. You said who they are. There, if they give up more than 14 points to the Giants next week, I don't care if the Colts win. Feel free to criticize. This is the worst offense.
More than
This is
14. Yeah, they're bad. And I'll be honest. I mean, obviously the guys out there are going to try to win.
Yeah.
But I think the Giants are just the worst team in football. And I don't even think it's all that close because
No, the record shows it, man. They are the worst team in football by record. And again, for you guys who don't know, and you don't have to care, but that's one of the other teams I edit for at the Athletic is the Giants. So I've watched every game. It's been miserable. And yeah, they're averaging 13.9 offensive points per game right now. 13.9. I mean, it's pathetic right now with what's going on with the Giants. So anyway, just wanted to say that, throw that out there as a little caveat, because we're not going to podcast before the game. So if they give up more than 14 points to the Giants, you criticize all you want. I don't care if they win 35, like 20. Like that's you can't give up 20 points to the Giants.
It's that bad. Well, I will
Yeah.
say when you have, blimps and planes flying across your
You're going to see
field
one
with messages saying,
Yeah.
that things need to change for your franchise. That's pretty bad. So I'll keep that in mind, Jim, for sure going forward.
All right, give us the playoff scenarios, man.
Yeah.
So what do the Colts need to do to get in here?
To sort of give you all, and again, a lot of this stuff, credit to JJ Stankovitz at Colts.com for giving us the blueprint, and anybody else around the league who may have helped him and whatever else, because this stuff does get in the weeds a bit because the Colts couldn't handle business last week. I digress. The first one, which is the most unrealistic one, would be that the Colts went out, which they have to do. None of these scenarios work if the Colts lose either of these games against the Giants or the Jaguars, two of the worst teams in football. Handle your business, and then get the scoreboard watching. The easiest path would be for the Chargers to lose out. The problem is the Chargers play New England and Las Vegas, two terrible teams. They have Justin Herbert. Other teams do not. They have Jim Harbaugh. The other teams do not. So I don't expect that to happen at all, but it is a possibility. That's the simplest way. Colts went out. Chargers lose out. Then it gets into a bunch of ridiculous scenarios where there has to be basically if the Broncos lose out for their remaining games, and then they would also, so the Colts have to win, the Broncos would have to lose out, and then the Bengals or the Dolphins would have to win out for their remaining games. And to keep you all from going down too much of a rabbit hole, basically, if you end in a three-way tie involving these teams, the Colts would get the benefit of the three-way tie, because at that point, it doesn't matter what your head-to-head record was, because we know if they go get the head-to-head record against Denver, for example, they won't get in because they lost to Denver. But if they get a three-way tie between, let's say, the Colts, the Broncos, and the Dolphins, or the Colts, the Broncos, and the Bengals, the Colts would get in because they would have a better AFC record overall than the other guys. And so that's where it gets a lot more difficult. Again, I'll break this all down in an article. And again, shout out to JJ for kind of explaining it to me so I can explain it to you all. But that is the gist of it. So basically, they need a lot of help, and they need, and to me, beyond the Chargers simple scenario, I guess to me, the most realistic way for the Colts to get in would be for them to win out, Denver to lose out because they got to play the Bengals and the Chiefs, and then the Bengals to win out because the Bengals play against Denver and against Pittsburgh, which again, it's not an easy scenario by any means, but they do have the offense, obviously with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, to get the job done. So if you're a Colts fan, you want to be praying on the Chargers' downfall, and then you probably want to be rooting for the Bengals to try to get some things done. So, you
also need to be cheering for you probably want the Chiefs to lose this weekend.
Yes,
because then they
because
wouldn't have the number one seed locked up, and then they would have to actually try to play against Denver in Week 18. Whereas
exactly.
if they beat the Steelers, they clinch the number one seed, or if the Bills lose. So that's the other thing. So you kind of need to cheer for the Bills to win, and because if they lose, the Chiefs clinch, and if the Chiefs win, they clinch. So it's one of those things again, and they'll definitely be resting their starters if they clinch the number one seed because they are a pretty banged up football team. So there's a lot that the Colts need to go right. Like even the math, I think is probably a little over exaggerated in terms of how favorable it is for the Colts, even at 14, 15, 18%. Because again, if the Chiefs were to beat the Steelers, that really hurts what the Colts need to happen, which is the Broncos loss in the end. Again, the Chargers could lose out, but now you're talking about a Broncos team against a Chiefs team that's not trying,
Yeah,
and
and that's what I
and
don't
then the
think the
Raiders
model.
against and the Raiders against two bad teams down the
Yeah,
stretch. So it's real tough. And yeah, I don't think the model necessarily factors in the Chiefs might not be playing their best by week
exactly,
18. So
exactly.
again, I think the odds are a little over exaggerated. So you do need a Steelers upset. So you would have to hope that on Christmas Day, which is what 2 days from now,
Yep.
we'll see the Steelers will have George Pickens back because their offense is not different. Is a totally different offense when they have George Pickens in there. And if they are, they can maybe pull off the upset at home on Christmas. I mean, the Chiefs have almost lost like 15 games this year, effectively, but they win them all. But they could certainly lose if this week, and that would be huge for the Colts. So that's what you're watching for on Christmas Day is a Steelers upset of the Chiefs.
Exactly. So hopefully that all makes sense. And if it doesn't, again, this is why you subscribe to The Athletic. I will break it down for you because I guess I am employed to do so. So
Yes, you are.
I'll try to figure it out. And honestly, I feel like I'm back in school trying to figure out like what grade I need in this class to make sure I get the seat that I need to pass and then obviously graduate. So the coach trying to
Tiebreakers are the
graduate.
worst, man.
Oh
Tiebreakers are the
man.
worst. And like I
Yeah.
said, it's so much cleaner when it's just a win loss thing, and then maybe even head to head, and then after that, you're like, oh god, I got an AFC
Yeah.
record, and then three-way ties, and it's like, oh, so
This
yeah.
is what they do to us. This is why, again, some of our listeners are still mad at JT, which I understand because if
Mhm.
they get things done last week, all this stuff's a lot cleaner to understand. But
Yep.
can't go back in time, can't rewind time, obviously. All you can do is look ahead. And for now, the Colts have to handle their business. Step number one is to go out there and beat the lowly Giants. And so we'll see what happens after that. But until then, from this Grinch to all of you all who are hopefully not Grinches, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll check in with you all very soon.